Welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner podcast. My name is Scott. I'll be your host today. Got a great show for you today. I got a great guest. He's a return guest. I haven't talked to him in a while though, so we got a lot to discuss. He's been real busy, so I can't wait to bring him on. As always, you can find this in the back episodes of our podcast at our website. It's ordinarymarathoner.com. Check it out if you get a chance. You can also find us at the aggregators, places like Stitcher and TuneIn and iTunes. If you like the show, hit that subscribe button and you'll never miss a new episode that way. You can also find me over at Twitter at OrdMarathoner. That's O-R-D Marathoner. Follow me there and I'll follow you back and we can chit-chat over there. Or you can join our discussion group over on Facebook. It's called Ordinary Marathoners. A great group of people over there. Real positive spirit, really supportive group. So, head on over there. It's a closed group, so you got to add yourself to it. We'll approve you right away. And you can join the conversation or you could just be a lurker. Either way is good for me. Just love to have you over there. So we have our Ordinary Marathon coming. It's in less than a month now. So again, it's a 10-day race. It's a virtual race. It's really just a celebration of the running community and the support that we all give each other. All the proceeds go to the American Cancer Society via their Determination running team. We had Ramon Burmo, the head of the team, on the podcast a couple weeks ago. Great chat we had with him, and really looking forward to it. I do want to mention our sponsors for the race: Greasy Girl Headbands. That's Greecie. Great people over there. Destination Vacation, which you can find at destination-vacation.com. The Sam Fund, a great charity, also related to cancer. She does a great job over there, Sam Watson. We're going to have her on the program in a few weeks, I believe, and really looking forward to that. Nathan Sports will be giving out a few of our giveaways, probably some hydration belts and things of that nature. Thank you, Nathan Sports. And Forever Home Running, that's F-U-R, Ever Home Running. They're related to sort of that, rescue animal type charity. And the guy he's Scott Frassard. He is setting up our virtual race. He's done a great job so far. I don't like to pass judgment until the job is done, but so far so good, and we like to thank him for sponsoring the race as well. So, on to our guest. Busy man lately. He's written a book. It's called Be Ready on Race Day: How to Create a Custom Training Program for your next marathon or half marathon. His name is Denny Krahe. Denny, welcome to the show. Welcome back, I should say.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. It's like you said, it's been too long. We need to not maybe do this every couple of years, but maybe mix that up a little bit more often, because it's always fun to connect and shoot shop a little bit and have a good time. So thanks for letting me come back, and looking forward to it today.
Yeah, I should have mentioned Denny is a fellow podcaster. It's funny because I feel like we've talked all along, so everyone should know, but maybe people don't. I have new listeners,
right?
And so he does the DizRuns podcast, a great show. And actually, when I logged on to Skype today to do this interview, I noticed that we haven't spoken since November of 2016. It's been that long.
Mm-hmm. Time flies, man.
And yet here we are doing the same thing. Just keep plugging away, doing the same thing. So it's good. It's good to see that we're both still in business.
Yeah, definitely. I guess that's the runner in us, right? You just keep grinding. You just keep doing your thing, and you circle back at some point down the road, and it's like you pick up right where you left off. Like it hasn't been a year and a half. Like it's been a few days. And
exactly.
That's what's fantastic.
And again, the whole community is so supportive of one another. And you'd think guys like me and Diz and people like Martinez Evans and you think that the podcast community, we fight for listeners. We're all very competitive. You would think, but it's more like that running mentality where you show up at the race and everyone supports one another, and I kind of like it that way.
Yeah, certainly, and I thought of it too, in that I don't know about you, I'm maybe a little bit extreme, but I'm subscribed to 40 different podcasts, so I assume that people that listen to my show probably listen to more than just my show. Yeah. So, if maybe they're all into running stuff, maybe they're into, I have a variety of different topics, different types of shows that I listen to. So, I don't feel like we're competing for listeners. We're not competing. We're in the same boat, helping the same type of people, trying to provide a little bit of value, a little bit of entertainment, maybe a laugh along the way. And
Yeah, totally agree. And I think, our shows are a little bit different. So there is a little niche. There's a little niche element there. So it's like, I don't know. I get a lot of good feedback from this show. I hear a lot of good feedback from your show as well. I got to say, I don't listen to any podcasts. Wow. Even my own, though. But even my own. I like to make them. I like to talk to people. I love talking to people. That's why I do it. It's really hard for me to find the time to listen, but I try. Like I hit in the car, in the car I'll put it on, but I never make it through. And I certainly don't listen to mine. I don't know. Yeah. I have a thing with my own voice, and I'm like, I can't believe I said that.
I'll listen to mine every once in a while just to kind of make sure that things are working like I think they are.
Right.
But yeah, I'm usually my show is like if I've run out of all of my other podcasts to listen to, then I'll queue mine up for a little bit. But I mean, I listen all the time, and I also cheat. I listen on 2x, so I can get through an hour-long show in a half an hour.
Everyone sounds like the chipmunks.
You'd think that, but it really doesn't. It's crazy. Like it basically like I use Overcast as the app that I use, the podcatcher app, and I guess what their technology is that it reads like the wave file, and anywhere where there's like a gap in the communication, it shortens that gap down.
Interesting.
So I've had it before where like I've listened to a couple of Spanish language podcasts because I'm trying to learn the Espanol, and I have a hard enough time keeping up at normal speed, with the Spanish, and then I'll forget that I had changed the speed setting on the app, and I get into a regular podcast that I listen to, and it makes my ears bleed how slow everybody's like how it feels like they're talking so slow because I'm used to the sped up rate. Yeah. So it's like, oh, why did you take a breath there? Like, what is going on why are you breathing? You should just be talking for an hour straight. And I think sometimes it bleeds into me. Like I think I talk a little bit faster now because I listen to it faster all the time. But
that's funny. It's funny you say. I was going to ask you that if people are like, dude, slow down when you talk. I don't I don't know. I think that I would probably get the same way.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I try to be aware of and make sure that I breathe a little bit. Try to maybe accentuate certain words and pause for a second. But
I think you're doing a good job.
Well, thank you. I know when I do a solo episode and I'm not having that back and forth a little bit.
Yeah.
I think those are the times that I really start to just
start rifling off,
start powering through, and it's like, well, I hope you might have to slow this one down a little bit if you listen on faster speed.
I tell you. So my last guest was Ramon Burmo, and he's and originally from Spain, and he's very chill. So I get like, when I podcast, I get very anxious and a little anxiety over dead air. I don't know about you if you get the same way, but I don't like to kind of like let 3 or 4 seconds go by. But for him, it's like natural to kind of get a question and kind of relax and process it. And so whenever he's on the podcast, my wife is always like, stop interrupting him. Like you're interrupting him. It's like, no, I'm just waiting for him to talk. But you live and learn.
Yeah, and that's one of those things. It's sometimes it's good to let the silence set for a second, but then sometimes it can be a little bit like,
come on, talk already.
Not good pod.
So listen, let's I know you wrote this book, and I know for you it's been a labor of love because we talked about this book for a while.
It's been a labor. That much is 100% certain.
You're removing the love part. But anyway, like let's. It was almost a year ago where I think we circled up. Excuse me, and we're gonna have you on the podcast to talk about the book. What's going on? Like, so where did you get the idea for this book? The book is called "Be Ready on Race Day," and obviously you have a background in coaching. How did the idea come up that you wanted to put this to pen to paper and get this done?
Gosh, that's I have to go into the Wayback Machine to think about that because you're right. It's been a while since that we've been working on there, that I've been working on this. But I part of it is the business side of my job and trying to because this basically is my job these days. Like it's the podcast, it's the coaching. Now it's the book. So just another opportunity from a business sense to maybe reach a new audience, have another thing that would be for sale. But when I was looking at what kind of book I wanted to write, what was it that I was going to actually talk about? I started looking around and looking at Amazon, looking at other places, and it was like you had all of these, either the free one-size fits all plans, which I'm admittedly very, very negative about. I don't really subscribe to the one size fits all thing. Or it would be, the book. so and so coach, so and so whoever wrote a book. But in the book, there were still just a bunch of pre-written, plug yourself into these one-size-fits-all training plans. And so there wasn't a whole lot between that level of interaction and actually like what I would consider a good plan and working with a coach. And as a coach, I'm fully aware that not everybody has room in the budget to hire a coach. It definitely is an expense. It's a want and not a need. But there was a huge gap that was between either a pre-written plan or having a coach to be able to adjust things on the fly and really make it customizable to you. And so the hope is, and I think we executed it. Still, the book is just out as we're recording this, so the feedback is starting to trickle in a little bit. But the hope is that that's really going to help bridge the gap to get somebody to where they can either sit down and write their own training plan, because I basically went through everything that I do with my clients and just kind of made a process of, this is what I do, these are the types of workouts, and kind of how would you piece those together? How would you put your calendar together to help you be ready on race day? So they either to just write it from scratch themselves, or to take one of those pre-written plans and use that as the framework, but then adjust it on their own, tweak some things, change some things out as necessary, so that instead of it being a one-size-fits-all, it's that's your framework, and now let's customize it and really make it my own plan for myself.
Right. And I think you hit the nail on the head. And I'm sorry because I'm losing my voice here for some reason, but it's a terrible thing for a podcaster. But I think you hit the nail on the head with, like, there's definitely like a niche there that's missing. There is certainly a vacant spot where I think people, there's the cookie cutter, Hal Higdon and all that, and there are a lot of variety, and you can pick from different plans, but there's no necessarily empowering the person who's involved, and there's no adjustment. Like, so if you miss a week, or if you're, busy one week and you have to start over, or you have to move back, or you have like all that kind of stuff, questions. And you have the experience being a coach of knowing what kind of questions people ask as they're going on. So I think you definitely sort of hit a niche there. I can't wait to read it. I haven't read it. I'm going to buy it after the show. I'm going to buy it. I was debating on whether or not I should get the signed copy, or go on Amazon. But, cause I know you offered that on the website. What's the website? It's a different, is it, Be Ready on Race Day?
BeReadyOnRaceDay.com. Yep. It redirects back to my website.
Link. I can't believe you even got that. I feel like that's like such a good phrase that someone would have scooped that up, that URL. That's a good buy.
Thought, but as soon as the idea started to percolate, and I jumped on whatever GoDaddy or something like that to check the URLs, and it was there. I said, well, there's
your title. Got that one. But yeah, so I mean, you've been working. So how long have you been working as a coach now? Probably like 4 or 5 years. No, am I overestimating? Underestimating?
Yeah, a little bit over. It's been about 3.5 years. But my background is in exercise science, athletic training, sports medicine. I've been doing that. I started my athletic training education in 2000. So I've been in sports sciences and all of that stuff for whatever we're at now, 18 years technically, but professionally for 14 years, and really working as a coach as a running coach specifically for about 3.5 years. And
there's got to be something, as a coach, I always try to like put myself into sort of the coach's shoes and think about how, the hard work goes into it, but what a great payoff when a client of yours, who asks you a lot of questions, who seems concerned, who works really hard, goes and accomplishes their initial goal, their initial dream, and you were along for the ride. Give me an example, or just even a general, like, how does that feel for you? Is that the payoff for you, or is there more to it?
Oh, 100%. I've gotten to the point now where, as the business has continued to grow, where I worry less and less and less about myself and my running, and I still have my running goals, and I still have lots of work to do to get there, but that's all taken a backseat to client successes. I mean, last fall I had my first client that BQ'd, which was awesome. I mean, it's one of those, like, when somebody's running a race, and I can't remember if her race had. I don't think her race had tracking. So it's like, if I have a client running a race, of course I've got their tracking info, and like I'm watching it. If it's a Sunday morning race, I'm probably at church, but I've like got my phone next to me, and my wife starts like elbowing me, and then she's like, "Oh wait, do you have somebody racing today?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh, okay." All so right. Like
one of those.
I'm not on Facebook during church. Like I'm actually like just checking in. I got an alert for somebody. but I mean that one, like I don't. It was a smaller race. I don't think it had tracking. So I remember like it was Sunday, like late morning. We'd probably just recently gotten home from church or whatever, and still kind of hanging out. And the phone buzzed, and I was like, well, like I think that's probably her. Like,
right.
And I think it probably was an expletive or something, but it was just like we can did it, And I was just like. And my wife's like, gosh, I wish I had a camera to take a picture of your face, because it was just like that was what it was all about. It was just like and ultimately, I mean, yes, I like to think I play a role. I mean, if I didn't think I was useful, I wouldn't do it. I would have be able to charge for what I do. But at the end of the day, like I'm putting workouts on a grid, and they're out there executing. They're out there doing the work. And so always trying to shine the light on them for doing the work and reaping the success. But boy, it was, I mean, just every race. I mean, every time somebody races, I'm on pins and needles all morning. Unless they're going into it as a fun race, then it's like, all right, whatever. Like they're just having fun. They're running with their girlfriends or running with another friend pacing somebody. No big deal. But yeah, when it's a goal race and like we are gonna we've got a plan. Here's the strategy. At this mile mark, you start to make your move. Blah blah. Like we map it all out, and like, man, I am on the phone just watching the tracking. I'm kind of a basket case. But yeah, client success there's nothing better than that as a coach. It's amazing.
That's like your personal Super Bowl, I guess. It's like, it's awesome. That's it's got to be a great feeling.
Yeah, it really is. And that's why I do it. I mean, I'm blessed at this point where like I have the job where it's not a job. Like I love working with my clients. I love talking to people for podcasts. The book, maybe that was a little bit of work, but we got that done now. So
it's out there. It's out there.
Moving past that a little bit.
I do have to say. So I went on Twitter just before we got on, and Matt Ricardo, who's a listener probably to both of our podcasts, he has bought your book and read it cover to cover. He said he loved it. So one review that I've seen, positive. Yeah. Positive. He said he rifled right through it, so that's always good, unless it's like 3 pages.
No, it's not 3 pages, but it's definitely a shortish book. I think it's sum totaled out to about 144.
Yeah.
And it's an easy read. It's not super technical. It's one of those things where I tried to make it as much of a, it's a how-to guide. And I don't want it to be super technical. I want the ordinary marathoner. I want the average runner.
Nice plug.
I got you back. But I want somebody who's like, like I said, I mean, the book is for somebody who's maybe done the one size fits all plans, but it's not serving them anymore.
Yeah.
They've got goals, they've got ambitions, they've got things that they want to do, but they're not quite sure how to get there. So I want it to be relatable. I want it to be easy to understand, not overly technical, not micromanaging. Like, here are some things. And honestly, maybe I shouldn't say this, but honestly, like it's much less technical coaching. Like I think sometimes people think like, oh my God, like how do you pick exactly which workouts? And like, honestly, like exactly which, like, you've got a wide margin of error. Like the difference between 400 meter repeats and 800 meter repeats, from a training standpoint, building up to a half marathon, it's not like, don't do the same thing every time. You're working different energy systems, like mix it up.
Right.
But like, it's not like you have to do 400 meter repeats at week 12 and 800 meter repeats at week 8, or else you're going to be in trouble. Like,
right.
Just pick a workout this week, go out there and execute it, and pick another one for the next week. So, try to just lay that all out. And like I said, it's hopefully easy read. I tried to make it very conversational, just like I would talk, and my wife even was like, gosh, this is like kind of like reading it, listening to you. I could hear you listening. I could hear your voice, which is good.
It's like your dictate. You got to do an audio version.
I've thought about it.
You got the equipment. It's all ready. You just got to read your own book.
Yeah, we'll see. There's been a few people that have already asked about that idea, because a year ago when we were going to do this to begin with, because I thought the book was about finished at that point. I did an episode where I read the introductory chapter, right there to kind of promote it. And I had a few people that were like, oh, like this definitely needs to be an audiobook. But, in my head, I don't know, like I said, because it's a how-to kind of guide. I don't know if that lends itself to the audio platform as much, but maybe make it as a bonus, or make it as just something like, not put it on Audible, but just make it as something that, chip in a buck or be a patron, and patrons can get a support, pledge a buck a month on Patreon, and you can get it. That's kind of where, if I do an audio, I think that might be
something like that. Yeah, gotcha. All right, let's head to break here. I think it's a good spot to take a break here. Let's head to break. We'll come right back with Denny Krahe. Hey guys, my friend Lauren is creating an incredible resource for runners and triathletes. It's called raceadvisors.com. She has amassed a list of thousands of races, 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons, marathons, ultramarathons, and triathlons, and anything in between. If you're thinking about running a race, look it up and check out the reviews. Have a favorite race of your own? Look it up. See what others have to say about it. Or better yet, leave a review of your own. raceadvisors.com. Read it, race it, review it. I want to tell you guys about another great small business I've come across while doing this podcast. It's called Greasy Girl Headbands. I know, I have very short hair, so what could I possibly know about headbands? Well, I know that I bought one for my wife Stephanie and daughter Samantha this Christmas. Stephanie, she uses it for what it was designed for, running and working out. But 8-year-old Sam, well, she just wears hers all the time. So the question is, how can you get one? Well, that's easy. You head on over to greasygirlheadbands.com. It's spelled Greeecie girlheadbands.com and select from the many styles and options they have available. I'm sure you'll find one that's just perfect for you. All right, we're back here from break with Denny Krahe. Denny, you can find Denny in a couple places. You can find him over at Twitter at DizRuns. That's DizRuns. That's where his Twitter handle is. You can also find him over at Facebook. He runs a group called the DizRuns Tribe. Go figure. It's a good name. I like it. I like the tribe. I'm a member myself. Are you on Instagram as well, Denny? I think I'm on Instagram. I just never really participate, so I don't know.
Yeah, I do the Instagram thing, and you can probably guess we're DizRuns there as well. It's pretty much universal.
That's good. You probably have DizRuns.com too. Of course you do.
Yeah, of course I do.
So back to your book real quick. I want to ask you one more question, which was, all right, here you are, a trainer, a coach, and you're teaching people all these, all the secrets that there is to marathon training. And then you go and write this book on how to do your own training program. It sounds like you're putting yourself out of business.
Yeah, you wouldn't be the first person that's kind of thought that way. I guess I understand why you would think that. And I mean, quite frankly, it may cost me a client or two here and there. But, from some of the other business type of entrepreneur things that I've been in, folks that have been down this road before, maybe not in the running realm, but, they've written a book about whatever their area of expertise is. They really have said it doesn't do much as far as subtracting from your client base, in large part because a lot of times, like I said, maybe the biggest thing maybe not the biggest thing, but one obstacle that a lot of people have is the cost. So, somebody could maybe want to work with me all they want, but if they can't, if there's not room in the budget between the kids and the housing expenses and whatever, I mean, everybody's budget's stretched thin. I don't deny that, or I don't, I fully recognize that. So maybe you can't afford the $65 a month for the coterie or the $150 a month for the higher level coaching, but you can afford $10 one time to get a good training plan. And then maybe, and then kind of, again, the business angle of it. So you get that and it helps you. Great. That's exactly what I want. I want to help somebody to reach their goals, but maybe you get it because you think that any schmo can write a training plan, which maybe you can make that argument. And then you start to realize that there is a lot that goes into it. And you go, well, God, maybe I don't want to do all this stuff. So maybe I will hire the guy because he'll just do it for me. So there's that.
There's kind of a wash there. Yeah. It's like a wash. Yeah. You might lose one or two people, but you could potentially gain a lot. And then if the book goes viral, then you're going to have to hire other coaches to profess the DizRuns,
we'll certainly cross that bridge when we get there. But yeah, I mean, I'm not too worried about it. And the other thing that I've had this discussion with some other running coaches well before, where, if somebody's really that intent on going through blog posts or going through things to try to figure out exactly how to write a plan, they're probably not going to be the one that wants to hire somebody anyway. They're wanting to figure it out themselves. So here's a roadmap. Take it, use it. Hopefully it helps you. And if you ever have a question, then we could send me an email. We'll chat that way. And if it leads to you working with me, great. And if not, then I helped another runner, to reach their goals, which is right.
That's along the spirit that we were talking about earlier. It's just kind of like, exactly. So yeah. So I think that's great. But even to take a step back before that, not even before that, but sort of overarching here is like what about you? What about you, Denny Krahe, personally? do you have any running goals? Are you running marathons lately? Are you running halves? What have you been up to?
Yeah, so that's
we're gonna delve into the author himself now.
Hey, that's fantastic. If there's one thing that people like to talk about, right, it's themselves. So let's rock and roll. I'm right now my race calendar is pretty empty. I ran a local trail half a couple of months ago. And one of the reasons that my calendar or my schedule is empty at the moment is one of the goals for this year is to do some speaking and hopefully speaking at some races. So I'm kind of at that point where, really kind of looking at some fall races and trying to have some conversations and starting, a couple preliminary conversations with some races to see about maybe, speaking their pre-race event or emceeing something, whatever, just kind of raising my profile a little bit that way. And if so, then hopefully being able to run their races as well. So I'm not scheduling anything that I have to work around in case, one of these dominoes starts to fall my way, and I can parlay a speaking gig into a race at the same time.
Right.
So right now the schedule is pretty open for that. But if nothing comes around, then I'll probably find a fall race in probably a trail race, because I've kind of been into that lately. But something local down here that I can do that won't be a big deal.
So would you say are you in marathon shape at the moment, at the drop of a hat? If they said, "Hey, you want to come speak at our marathon and run it next week," would you be able to grab that? Or are you?
I could. I'm in marathon finish shape.
So you're not competing, you're not PRing, but you're going to get through.
I could get through it. I did 15 miles this morning, no problems.
Oh, you're
you're
good.
Just cruising. I could race a half marathon. I'm definitely in half marathon shape, but I've been into the heart rate training thing lately. It's kind of an experiment that I have gone down. Started about the first part of December, so I'm right about four solid months of basically, like I said, I ran that trail race, which is I raced it. I ran it about as hard as I could. And
you have a picture. I think you have a picture of you and your daughter at the finish line on your page. I looked at. Is that from that trail race?
Yep, that was from the one, and
that was a great picture. That's a great. I have one with my daughter too, and it's like one of my prized possessions, and I'm sure it is for you.
Oh, certainly. She's three and a half, and she actually, with trail races, for those that don't know, they tend to be a bit loosey goosey compared to a lot of the road races. So she was waiting towards the finish line. And before I could even tell her to come with me, she just my wife let her jump the fence or threw her over the fence, and she ran the last 100 yards or so with me, which probably cost me a few seconds, but we're good there.
That's all right.
I'm not worried about those seconds at all. So got to cross the finish line with her, and she wanted to go with me to collect the medal afterwards and that type of thing. So we were clowning around and having some fun with pictures and whatnot. But between that and I did one other tempo run a few weeks after that race, and otherwise I've been all running, easy, I guess, easy intensity, which tends to translate to a bit slower training, kind of experimenting with the heart rate training. I had clients ask about it, and I knew enough to know that I didn't know very much about it. I knew some of the science, but I wanted to look into it. And I've also kind of at the same time gone down the low carb, high fat type of diet fueling strategy way. Again, also because it's different. Kinda... Yeah, I'm not meticulously keto, but definitely probably you could classify me as paleo at this point. So no processed.
You're on the spectrum.
Really. I'm on the spectrum. I'm definitely on the spectrum, the keto spectrum. But again, that was another one where a client asked about what do you think about it, and it's like, well, I can tell you what I've read, but you can read too. So maybe I should try to experience this stuff. So I've been running slow and having fatty coffee and things like that, and we're 4 months in. I've committed to it for the entirety of 2018. To really give it a good long sample size, see how it goes, and not draw any conclusions until then. But at this point, I'm encouraged, and it hasn't been as difficult, especially the eating part hasn't been as difficult as I thought it was going to be. So it may be something that may stick around after this year as well. But jury's out until at least December.
So we have a couple people in our group, in the Ordinary Marathoners group on Facebook that do the heart rate training. Melinda Howard and Katie Mayo, who and this is a woman who's run Marine Corps Marathon, I think, every year for the last 4 years or something like that. And I know she hits the wall kind of with her training, and she's like, I'm just not improving. And so she got the idea to try this heart rate training. And like you said, she finds herself running a lot slower, because she's constantly monitoring her heart rate. And I think she's also like, it's not that it's distracting. It just takes a lot of your attention because you have to pay attention to it. So I guess, what are some of the, I guess, is that you think sort of the type of person that is probably a good candidate to try out the heart rate training, or what are the perceived kind of benefits, I guess, to it as opposed to, your traditional, I guess, training?
Mm-hmm. I think the biggest benefit from the study and the learning that I've done so far, and certainly something I'm continuing to try to read more about and do more research with and whatnot, and continue to evolve there. But it really, what it does is really raise your floor. So, if you're looking at, your speed work, your high intensity training, you're running fast as raising your ceiling, and how high you could maybe go, maybe. But if you can bring the floor up quite a bit, and for most of us, most runners, that's really where we're going to improve the most. Because I was thinking about this the other day. It's been a few years, but at one point, I ran a mile in 5:58 or something like that. It just had broken 6 minutes in the mile. For like a speed, a mile time trial or something like that. And, so at that point, at 6-minute miles, you're talking about like a 2:38, 2:39 marathon. So that would be my ceiling. That's the fastest I could run. If I could maintain that pace for 26 miles, I could be a sub 2:40 marathoner. But my floor is so much lower than that because I don't have the endurance. I don't have the ability to maintain that pace for that long. So if I can run slower in training, to really build that aerobic base, to be stronger, more efficient runner at a less intense pace, because we all know as runners that you're not going to run your 1 mile sprint pace for a marathon. At least I hope not, because you're gonna have a hard time come about mile 2, to get through that 24 miles.
It's a little early to hit the wall.
Yeah, that's going to be that's a bad strategy. So if you can be stronger at the lower intensities and run faster without running at a higher energy expenditure.
Yeah.
For most of us really even at like from the 5K and up, but certainly when you get into 10K, half marathon and marathon distances, that's really the recipe to get faster, is to be more efficient as a runner. Because again, kind of going back on some of the coaching stuff, like does 800 meter top speed really translate on a marathon day? Like, I mean, no, like you're not running
really,
nearly that pace, if you're really running a hard 800 versus can you just continue to grind at 9-minute pace or 8:30 pace or 10:15 pace, whatever. You can hold that pace for 26 strong miles. You're not going to fade. And you're going to finish better.
Yeah, and there's that old saying too, right? It's like, you probably know this better than me, but it's like most people do their fast runs too slow and their slow runs too fast. Is that?
Yeah. Oh, and yeah, because then what happens for a lot of us is that we feel comfortable running, kind of in that middle ground. It's not hard enough to hurt, but it doesn't feel slow. Like we feel like we're getting somewhere. So it's all kind of, in between the extremes. And I mean, from a physiology standpoint, you either want to be running pretty easy where it's all aerobic. You're building the aerobic system. You're building that kind of muscular endurance, the running endurance, but you're not taxing your body too strong. It's not breaking you down very likely. It's allowing the repair processes to continue to happen. It also allows you to be rested so that when you do a harder workout, whether it's a track interval, whether it's a tempo run, whatever, you've got the juice in your legs to go hard. And when you're going to go, like either commit or stay easy. Like going in the middle ground, it might feel okay. It might feel like you're working, but you're shortchanging yourself. Quite honestly, you're not getting the maximum benefit.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because I did sort of that. You get that Hal Higdon, the grid of like Monday, or Sunday, the full week, and then it just has a number, like how many miles you're supposed to run that day. It doesn't really tell you how fast you're supposed to run or how slow. And I got to tell you, when I did that, every morning I'd wake up and my legs would be sore. Like it didn't matter. It's like, and it was the same. It was like a constant soreness throughout the entire day. And I could still run on them. It wasn't like but obviously I wasn't at optimal, race day speed. And when you do a speed workout or something like that, like you really want to have that energy in the legs in order to go. And I think when, doing those sorts of workouts, you kind of, especially when you don't have someone looking over your shoulder, you don't have, that heart rate monitor is almost like a trainer in itself, I guess, in that respect, because it will keep your pace. It'll restrict your pace, because because if you go too fast, that heart rate will jump up and, force yourself to slow down. So, there's got to be some merits to that, I think.
Yeah, they're like I said, I mean, the science is pretty strong. It's just so counterintuitive, and even it's hard to explain to people sometimes in a clear enough way that if you train slow, you're going to be able to race fast, because you just don't like. But how? And even myself sometimes I'm
gonna like quote that, and I'm sending that to my friend Katie. I think that's great, because she would, I think that quote, train slow to run fast, to race fast. Yeah. She would love that, because I think she's at this point where she's been doing it for a couple weeks, and she's like, "Oh, I'm running so slow," like but she's sticking with it, and so I think your point makes a lot of sense.
And for people that are interested, to kind of plug my Instagram a little bit, I've been hashtagging run slow, race fast. And I try to put out all of my stats for every run to show that, like, I'm practicing what I'm running. Yesterday or Thursday's run I typically run in the morning. For whatever reason, Thursday it didn't work. I overslept a little bit. That kind of screwed up the morning routine. So I ran later in the day. Well, after a couple of cups of coffee, with it being hotter, with just kind of workday stress, I had a couple of interviews that day. So there was just kind of, you're hyped up a little bit from doing an interview, talking to somebody, having a good time. I hit the trails, and it was all I could do to keep my heart rate under the level that was necessary. So I literally ran, quote unquote ran. I probably walked as much as I ran. My average pace was 13:46 that day.
Yeah.
The run before that, that was on a Thursday. That I ran on Tuesday before that. Ran in the morning, first thing in the morning, and my average pace that day, I think, was in the 9:15, 9:30, something like that, with my heart rate being exactly the same. Basically, the average heart rate being within 1 or 2 beats of each other, nice, underneath the window. So it just goes to show that some days, like, for whatever reason, it could be dehydrated, it could be just external stress, life stress, work stress, family stress, caffeine, whatever. It can impact you, and you don't even necessarily know it, because I didn't feel any different. But as soon as I looked at my heart rate monitor, I said, "Oh boy, it's gonna be one of those runs today." I thought I was gonna get 5 miles in, but I definitely don't have time, because I know I'm gonna be walking a bit. So we'll just do a 5K and shut it down. And like I said, it was painfully slow. But if you're gonna commit to it, you got to commit to it. And so I posted it. I said, here's what we did today. 13:46 pace at 3.5 miles at heart rate 135 or whatever, and run slow, race fast. And the idea is that
you got to set the example.
Down.
Yeah. You got to set the example. Well, listen, man, what did I miss here? I mean, we've been chit-chatting a while. What did I miss? I mean, we got your book. I mean, 144 pages. I can sit down and read that.
Yeah, it's an easy read. It's not a big deal. And like I said, hopefully the idea is that it'll be one of those things where you read through it once and get a good idea, and then when you're in the training process, it's like, all right, we're in the first quarter of the training process. So go back to the chapter on first quarter and kind of look at, all right, what should we be doing? What's the focus here?
It's like a reference too, right? So you can keep going back. That's awesome. That's great. I'm gonna pick that up today and get to it, and I'm sure I'll be tweeting about it as well. And listen, man, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. I had a blast. We got to do this more often.
I would be all in on doing this as often as you want, and we got to get you back on my show soon too.
You know what I said? I don't listen to podcasts. I've listened to that podcast with me on your show like twice, and I love it. I felt like, I don't know, we had a good back and forth there. So I'd look forward to that a lot. That would be a lot of fun.
Let's do it. We'll make it happen for sure.
All right. Sounds good. All right. That was Denny Krahe, author of Be Ready on Race Day, How to Create a Custom Training Program for Your Next Marathon or Half Marathon. Great show. I had a blast. It was a good time. Anyway, as for the show, next couple weeks, I keep saying that I do have like a backlog of guests. I'm recording shows in advance. This has like never happened to me before, but, we're having fun with it. So, follow the show. Keep looking at us, because we're going to be posting a lot of shows in the coming weeks. And geez, I guess that's it. I guess we're going to wrap it up. As always, just remember, when it comes to running, I'm no expert. I'm just ordinary.